So,
Good
hello.
morning.
Welcome to Mainly Murder with Meg and Mum. This is our 14th episode.
Hope you posted them in the right order or people are going to go, hang on, this is the second one on the list.
This is the first episode.
This is what she doing.
This is the first. We have a case that I have mentioned a couple of times, but it ended differently to what I thought, how I thought it ended.
Wait, what?
We'd mentioned this case a few times.
Okay.
But the way that I thought that it ended was like when I actually did the research, it ended in a slightly different way than what I thought it had.
Okay. So you knew a bit about him, but not all of it.
I knew like the main bits.
Okay.
And then, deep research into it. And then I was like, that's not how it ended, how I always thought and told people that it ended.
Like a good TV show where you're like, I know what's going to happen here. And then something totally different happens and you're like, fuck, didn't see that coming.
Didn't see that. Well, it's still in the realm of how I thought it ended.
Actually, you watched, just going straight off, sorry, Dane, just having our Dane moment right now. You watched Gavin and Stacey? Oh, don't worry then. There was a thing on last...
Okey-dokey.
No.
Well, onto the case.
You can cut this bit out. There was a thing on Foxtel last night or Netflix that had the making of the... Because they did a series for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Then it had a however many year break. Then they did one in 2019.
Okay.
And it finished with the two of the main characters, one proposed to the other. And that's where it finished.
Oh.
So you didn't know if they said yes, no, whatever. And they've made the next episode in 2024. So it's taken 5 years.
So they keep having 5-year gaps.
There were I can't remember what the first break when they decided to do a remake.
Yeah.
James Corden is one of the writers on it. And they were doing they were filming the filming of it.
Oh, yep.
And there was a part, because you haven't watched it, I won't say what happens, but there's a part that...
I'm not planning to watch it.
No, okay. Well, James Corden's character and Nessie have a kid together, but they've never sort of got together properly.
Oh, okay.
And it was her that proposed to him because she found out he was going to propose to someone else.
Oh.
And she was the wrong, she wasn't perfect for him, this bird he was proposing to. She was in that previous episode. And it finished with Nessie getting down on her knee and proposing to him, but he never answered. So the start of the one 5 years later is going to a wedding planner and James Corden walks in the door and it's the blonde there. It's not, everyone just assumed. So the whole episode is planning their wedding, blah, blah, blah. And there's a spoiler at the very end. But it's and they said that all the people in all the extras in that, they were sworn to secrecy because they didn't want it slipping out that when he opened the door, it was the blonde there and not Nessie that everyone hoped the storyline was going to go with. But no, it was really good. And they were talking to all the characters and anyway, you can cut all that shit out. Cut all that crap out.
Thank you to coming to our Gavin and Stacey podcast.
Well, I was trying to say not too much, just in case you do leave it in. That's going to ruin it for someone that hasn't watched it yet.
Well, sucks to be them if they have.
Yeah, well, I'm going back to episode 1. I'm going to start watching it again.
Jesus Christ. Okay. We have, oh my God, this
fucking microphone.
It's a perfect position it needs to be in. It just droops. Anywho.
I've heard that before.
Oh my God.
Many a time.
Anywho, so today we have the story of John List.
List? Is there a list of things that John got up to?
Well, yeah.
No, so by name and nature. All right.
Yeah, so his
What's
early
John
life.
Up to?
John Emil List was born on the 17th of September 1925 in Bay City, Michigan. His father was John Frederick List, born in 1859, and his mother was Alma Barbara Florence List, who was born in...
Do we need to know about his parents?
Yes.
Oh, fuck, okay. Normally, sometimes you go, podcasts go on about that, and his father and his brother. It's what relevance? Who cares?
Usually I quickly mention him, just be like, his mum was this, his dad was this, but when it kind of shows the person he becomes
okay,
and why they become... Like with Eileen Wernos.
I just thought after 14 episodes I'd ask that question. Just been stewing on it.
But like how Eileen Wernos, her dad went to prison for being a pedophile and then the mum ditched him. And usually it shows a pattern of...
why?
Yeah.
Because everybody had a traumatised childhood.
Yes. So he was born in 1859 and his mother, Alma Barbara Florence List, was born in 1887. So quick maths.
What was it? He was born in 49 and she was born in 87.
59 and 87.
Fucking hell.
So he was 28 years older than his mother. His father was 28 years older than his mother.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time John was born, his father was 64 years old.
Oh, that's a young, sprightly fella
Oh,
there
yeah.
for you. Running
like-
around with your grandkids. Fuck.
Well, it's like Albert Fish. His dad was like in his 60s when he was born. John and Elma had been married for about a year before John was born. He also had a...
You'd think he'd be foof and dust at 66, wouldn't
Well,
you?
you'd think so, but...
Jesus Christ. They say men can have kids until forever and a day.
Yeah, well, Mick Jagger...
Yeah.
He also had a son from a previous marriage who was the same age as Elma.
Actually, can I just interrupt for a minute?
Oh, dear God.
Have you ever seen this show with Jamie Foxx? Jamie Foxx does a show. It's a music show. You'd actually like it because they play either they play some of the song and 4 things come up, and normally they're the words within the song, and they've got to guess the right song.
Yeah.
And whoever wins the most money keeps going up and up, whatever, and they eventually get rid of one pair, then next, and then the last one goes for 5 questions that are all worth 25 grand each.
Yeah.
Best part is though, when it gets to the final question, they either play for double the pot that they've got, or if they lose, they still get half. So
Okay.
there was a couple the other day that 2 kids that were just starting uni, and they had 90 something grand, and they decided not to play, and then they play the question. They didn't know it anyway, which was really good, but they still would have only dropped down to like 45 grand or whatever. But he was, then they say the categories, and there's this young girl that hits the music for him when he goes, hit it. And she plays it, and they've got to guess it, whatever. And it wasn't until about the 3rd or 4th episode I watched that I realised it was his daughter is doing that. But then one of the categories was 90 music, and he's like looking at these contestants, forgot about the daughter, and he's like, I got down in the 90s. And she turns around and she goes, yeah, I know, I was born in the 90s. He lost it. He was just like, told you I got down in the 90s.
Oh, no.
It was really, but you would really love it. You'd love that show.
Jamie Foxx. Hold on.
Yeah, hang on. It's been going for like about 5 years. I don't know if he's hosted the whole time, but we've only just started watching it. I started recording it actually because
Music show.
I think it's Shazam or something like that.
Beat Shazam.
Beat Shazam, that'll do.
Okay.
So do yourself a favour.
I've screenshotted that.
If you like, yeah, it's on, I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix.
Oh,
but
a lot
if
of
you-
shows are going to Netflix, aren't they?
Yeah, but if you like music ones, and then there's a category where it's just the music, no words.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And but they compete against each other, and if 2 get it right, the fastest time, it then shows the fastest time, and they get the money,
Oh.
and the others, 2 of them walk away with nothing. Or but anyway, go on. We're here for murder, not for
TV shows.
not just here to talk about Ned and Stacey and beat Shazam.
So Johnny's father. There's a lot of Johns as well.
Oh, Jesus.
So John, his father, was 64 years older than his mother.
64 years older than his mother.
Sorry, no, 28. He was 64 when John was born.
Sounds better.
And he also had a son from a previous marriage who was the same age as Elma.
His wife?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
John and Elma met when she was hired as a live-in nurse to care for his first wife, who was terminally ill. The family lived in a house on Winona Avenue. His father had remodeled the upper floor into an apartment and leased it out. The List family lived on the lower floor, which had a large kitchen, 1 bedroom, a bathroom, and a formal parlour.
Oh, a formal parlour?
Yes, for people that don't know, parlour is pretty much a fancy lounge room.
Yeah, pretty much the entrance to the house, isn't
Yeah.
it? The first room they go to.
Yes, the parlour where you sit and have tea and cookies.
Sit on plastic seats because they don't want to
Yeah.
anyone getting them dirty.
John didn't have his own bedroom, so he would sleep on the couch in the parlour.
What?
John didn't have his own bedroom.
Okay.
John
So
the
they had
son now. John
John Jr.
John Jr., but then John Jr. has a John.
Oh,
and
for
they're-
fuck's sake.
his
Why do
name is just
people
John.
do that?
I don't know.
What's your name? Daryl. What's your name? Daryl. My older brother, Daryl. Anyway, another TV show. Keep
During the day, before going to school, he would have to put his sheets and blankets away, as well as his books, clothes, and any other personal items. He grew up with the understanding that he was not to leave a trace of himself in his own home.
going. Wow.
Yeah.
That sucks. How do you have a house that big that you've got a fucking room for people to meet and greet in,
Yeah.
but you don't have a room for your own kid?
It's ridiculous.
Mm.
Laura Werner, who used to rent the upper floor of the List home, said,
Hang on. They've got a second floor that they could have used, and
Yep.
he could. Oh, for fuck's sake! Okay,
The dad remodeled and then started
Rented
to
it
lease
out.
the top of the house.
So,
But his own son doesn't have a bedroom.
yeah, okay.
So the lady that lived upstairs, she said, he was the neatest little boy I ever saw. You never knew he was even around.
That's what they wanted.
Well, yeah. His father was a stern old German who always referred to John as the boy. John was expected to be seen when necessary and not heard unless invited. He was expected to excel at school and uphold the family dignity in church. John's father was most known in the neighbourhood as a crank after an incident one Halloween. A couple of neighbourhood kids were unhappy that the List family was not handing out treats. This was probably because John despised Halloween and referred to it as a satanic celebration. The boys decided to ring the List doorbell and ran away. After doing this a few times, John flew out of the door and began chasing the
Oh,
boys.
scared the fuck out of him.
Oh, yeah. A big old
Ring.
fucking old German dude. As they retreated, one of the boys stumbled into a gully and sprained his... A gully?
Yeah, like a ditch. Is a gully?
What do we call it?
A ditch.
Oh, it just sounded weird.
No, gully's right. Please keep reading.
Stumbled into
Keep
a gully
reading. Keep reading for the rest of the class.
and sprained his ankle. The incident caused enough trouble in the neighbourhood that John, the son, bore the brunt of the residential resentment, and for years afterward, the neighbourhood kids would call him Trick or Treat Johnny.
Aw.
We're not going to feel sorry for John.
Oh, that's right. Oh, hang on. I wasn't sure if the story was about dad or about. So it's obviously about more about the son's antics. Okay.
Nearly their whole social life revolved around the Lutheran church. After church on Sundays, Alma would cook a big meal for the family, and usually some friends and relatives would come over. John was encouraged to play outside with the other children, but instead he'd rather sit in the kitchen with his mother and read. And usually every night he would read the Bible with his mother.
Oh.
Alma was a little overbearing with John. A relative said that she was afraid he would get a cold or even get his hands dirty. She watched him like a hawk and would bundle him in layers of winter clothes.
Oh, don't you love a good helicopter parent?
Yeah. During high school, John got a part-time job at the Sage Library. During this time, he was a bit of a nobody. He made no memorable impressions on any of his classmates.
Until he killed them all.
Well, he had a couple of friends, no girlfriends, and people vaguely remembered him as being tall, bookish, deeply religious.
Hang on. Tall what?
Bookish.
What the
like
fuck's
nerdy.
bookish? Oh. I thought you meant he was like square.
He looked like a book.
He was built like a book. I was like, how do they describe someone as bookish?
No, like nerdy.
Well, why didn't they just say that? Oh, he's bookish.
He likes the books.
Yeah, well, fuck. Okay.
Deeply religious and always snappily dressed.
Oh, a bit of a snappy.
Snappily dressed. That's old John.
Okay.
One old classmate recalled that he just blended into the scenery. By the time of John's graduation in June 1943, almost half of the boys in his senior class had already opted for an early graduation and joined the army.
Okay.
John was intensely patriotic and was itching to join, but his mother's opposition to the idea stopped him from graduating early.
In case he got hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
During basic training, so he graduated and went.
Eventually.
During basic training, John said that he had a disdain for fellow soldiers who cursed or exhibited other forms
Oh, for God's sake.
of what he regarded as unseemly, crude behaviour.
Oh, I'd be no good with him.
I was like, come to our workplace, you're fucked. On August 20th, 1944, John was summoned to inform him that his father, who had been seriously ill for a year, had died.
Oh.
The funeral was held at the List home's front parlour that had previously been John's bedroom.
Oh, Jesus.
John noted in his private memoir that in February 1945 he was shipped overseas to Europe. He would recall taking part in a final stage infantry campaign across the German border in late March. His unit was taken on by German artillery fire, and they were captured by German troops in April.
Oh.
The German troops had threatened to shoot them as
So far, you're feeling a little bit sorry for this dude.
Yeah, well.
Obviously, shit's going to change, but at the moment,
yeah,
it's like, oh, poor John.
Poor John. At the moment, poor John. German troops had threatened to shoot them as prisoners of war, but the Germans recognised that the war was lost, so they changed their minds and gave themselves up to the American soldiers.
Oh.
John also wrote in his memoir that, for my brief stint as a POW, I was put in for the Bronze Star Award.
Oh.
The
Okay.
Bronze Star Award was apparently given to the entire army division during the final stages of the war in Germany. So nothing too special.
Oh.
No, he
So-
was like
was-
going around going, I got the Bronze Star. It's like everyone in the
Everyone-
division got the Bronze
okay.
Star. It was like a Gold Star.
It wasn't.
Well, it was a Bronze Star.
It wasn't. It was a participation award, was it?
Pretty much. It wasn't like a
In Megan's eyes.
bravery. Yeah, well,
Wasn't that you did well? You went to war. You fought for your country. It was just like, hey, you were there. Here's an award
You know what?
according to the world of Megan.
fuck John. So he got a participation award.
Mm-hmm.
In April 1946, John returned home and he lived with his mother.
Of course, he did.
John would rarely discuss his time overseas and acted as if he was dealing with a deep war PTSD.
Oh, okay.
A relative said that he spent a total of 11 months overseas, with most of the time in transit or waiting to be transferred. So he didn't do a lot, but
anything.
he was acting like he'd been through the wars.
Yeah.
That's where the saying comes from.
Oh my God.
Along with his handful of medals, John brought home and proudly displayed his classic Austrian Steyr, which is a pistol.
Okay.
John only being 21 when he returned home from war.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, he waited to graduate and then he was
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
He started to think about college, and him and his mother started planning.
Oh, good on you, Mum.
Alma strongly persuaded John to go into accounting. Accounting was sensible, stable, and had respect. They decided on the University of Michigan, where the tuition, room, and board was $900 a year.
Whew, that would have been a lot of money back then.
$14,000 now.
Shit.
John would send letters while at college to his mum and would drop names of classmates in an attempt to pretty much pretend that he had
I was
friends.
just going to say, I bet that means nothing.
But most people at the college could barely remember him. At least once a month, Alma would make the 3-hour bus trip to the college and stay with John over the weekend. They would go out for dinner on Saturday night and then attend church at the Lutheran Centre on Sundays.
Oh, lovely.
John lived in the dorm of Henley House in the West Quad. His social activities were confined to the university's Lutheran student organisation. Here he was remembered as a willing volunteer who was always on hand early to help set up the tables and serve food at the weekly Sunday suppers, which began at 5:30 and that were followed by a religious program.
Of course they were.
Praise Jesus. In June 1950, John graduated with a bachelor's degree in business administration. Prestigious accounting firm Ernst,
Which is probably now Ernest and Young, I'm guessing.
oh, possibly, hired John as a junior auditor, and his starting pay was $56.25 a week, which would be about $733 a week. It's pretty good for a first-time job.
Not bad.
In November 1950, John took a leave of absence as he was called back to help in the Korean War. He saw no action during this and spent most of his time in Virginia. During this time, John went off base with another officer named Ted, and they went bowling.
Bundy?
Could you fucking imagine if they all lined up?
They were all buddies.
No, I don't think Ted.
They went to psycho school together. They all
Serial
learned
killer
how to
school?
how to become a serial killer.
Well, he wasn't a serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
Ted had begun to friendly tease the two young women bowling next to them.
Oh, flirting. That's
Yeah.
called flirting.
Yes. The young women were Jean Sfrut and her sister Helen Taylor. Just the day before, Helen had buried her husband, who was a soldier that was killed in Korea 6 months earlier, and his body had just been returned to the States.
And she's out bowling the next day.
With her sister, yeah.
I'm sorry. That's
The 50s.
like I know they said that he died 6 months earlier, but it's taken 6 months for
Yeah.
his body and that. But really,
I think
funeral on Thursday. We'll go bowling
like
on
the
Friday.
sister
We'll go
was
to the
like-
movies on Saturday. Like, fuck off.
I think it was like, come on, let's go do something fun. Let's go, cheer yourself up.
Yeah, let's cheer yourself up after a funeral. Let's go bowling.
Ted ended up taking Helen out on a few dates until he let it slip that he had a wife.
Oh.
Next thing she knew, John was enthusiastically courting her. Helen's sister Jean, like John, but her husband Jean
Was still alive? Bastard.
well, Helen's sister's name was Jean, Jean,
Yeah.
and her husband's name was Gene, Gene.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Like Jean
Could
is
you
in a-
get a story with any more
There's
similar
lots
names?
of Jeans and Johns.
Oh.
So sister was Jean, like a pair of jeans. The sister,
It
her
was
husband
like
was Jean, like Gene
Wilder.
Wilder. Is he dead?
No. Don't think so. Willy Wonka?
Yeah.
Don't think so.
I thought he died.
He might have. Hang on, please hold. Yeah, no, he died in... That's not funny. He died in 2016.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
thought he'd
just
be
gave
dead
him
for
an
a while.
extra 8 years.
Yeah, wow. Good on him. So yeah, Jean the sister liked him, but Jean the husband didn't think much of him. He said that John wasn't one of his favourite people. He had feminine tendencies and he considered him a mama's boy.
Well, that's clear.
Yeah, he said, I thought they had a loser from the word go. John ended up telling an army acquaintance that he and Helen had been intimate several times.
Ama.
And now Helen was pregnant.
Oh, was she?
Yes.
Oh.
He's only thought
I just thought you were saying he was telling, like he
Oh,
was
no,
bragging, but it didn't really happen.
he was kind of
He's
like,
still a virgin.
no, she was pregnant. And his only thought was that they had to get married. On the 1st of December 1951, John and Helen got married at the Lutheran Church in Baltimore. John's only condition for marrying Helen was that she joined the Lutheran Church.
Okay.
From the first time John brought Helen home to meet his mother, Alma had a disdain for her.
Yeah, 'cause she just married her baby boy.
Yeah, and she's pregnant.
She tricked him.
Oh,
Bitch.
on the 50s, yeah. A friend recalled Alma saying that John could have done so much better than Helen.
Oh.
Helen was born on the 1st of January 1925. She was the third of 5 children and grew up in North Carolina, where her father worked in a cotton mill and her mother rode herd.
Okay.
According
Each to their own.
Yeah, wow. According to her sister Jean, Helen was an abused child. Itching to get out of the house, she met and married 23-year-old Marvin Everett Taylor. It was a happy marriage, although they did go through some unfortunate events. Helen gave birth to their first child, Brenda, in 1942. During the birth, an attending physician accidentally splashed ether into Helen's right eye, which severely damaged her cornea.
How the hell? How do you go from childbirth to an eye injury?
Well, what's ether?
I don't know. But how do you go from childbirth to
Or during the childbirth.
during the childbirth? Here, sit back and relax.
I thought ether was like a chloroform.
Odorless liquid, highly inflammable. It's used as an anaesthetic. Okay.
Well, that's why they had ether.
So
that went into her eyeball.
yeah, but God.
This affected Helen's appearance, giving her a slightly wall-eyed look and seriously limited her peripheral vision.
Peripheral vision.
Yeah, people would say if you stood on the right side of Helen, she didn't see you.
Well, that's like Mel.
And Dad, when he had the
Cataract.
yeah, couldn't see him. He couldn't see things. Can't see him now. Helen gave birth to the couple's
You don't know what he's seeing anymore, kid.
Oh, who knows? Helen gave birth to the couple's second child, a boy they named Kenneth Everett, but unfortunately he died 6 months later from complications that attributed to a Rh blood factor of Helen's.
Oh, right. I thought you were going to say SIDS or something.
No, well, blood factor. The following year, Helen had a miscarriage, followed by several more the following years.
Jesus, she had a rough go.
Oh, she did.
Oh.
Fucking, yeah. In 1947, Marvin was transferred to Korea. Peacetime conditions allowed him to bring his wife and their small daughter along. At the time, venereal diseases were rampant among the girls at the army bars, and Helen ended up becoming very ill and jaundiced from catching hepatitis.
From her sleazy husband.
He sounded like okay. I think it was just...
Well, but she must have been rooting around then. You don't get it from sniffing the air.
Yeah, but it's blood, saliva.
So
I don't know.
Yeah.
From what it sounds like, they were okay.
Okay.
Her and Brenda left Korea and taken back to the States by emergency airlift. Helen recovered, and a year later she would receive a telegram notifying her of Marvin's death. Marvin had died heroically and had been posthumously awarded the Silver Star, the nation's highest award for valor after the Medal of Honor. See, that's an award, not your fucking participation award. John.
Okay, so yeah, maybe she didn't get VD from him or hepatitis or whatever you're going with.
Hepatitis. So now back to John and Helen.
Okay, back to John and Helen.
John and Helen had their first child, Patricia Marie List, on the 8th of January 1955. Brenda had just turned 13 and was delighted over the baby. Brenda remembered some of her happiest childhood memories with trips to the zoo and the circus, and of her stepfather making pizza for the family on Saturday nights.
Oh.
John also spent hours a week teaching Brenda about the Lutheran religion.
Oh, God, okay.
That's just what you want. Here's your new dad.
Yeah.
He's going to teach you about Jesus.
Yep.
John then changed jobs which prompted the family to move, and shortly after their second child, John Frederick, was born on the 21st of October, 1956. One of the first things John did when they moved was enroll the family in a Lutheran church.
Of course.
With his beautiful family, accounting skills, and respect as a new pillar of the church, John was elected treasurer of the parish.
Oh, God, okay. Stole money, did he?
Helen started to take a step back from church life. She had found it too hard to get everyone dressed, convince a teenager to go with her, and would rather sleep in on Sundays.
Yeah, don't blame her.
Around Christmas, Helen was pregnant again.
Jeez.
On the 26th of August 1958, their third child was born, Frederick Michael List.
Oh, at least I didn't call him John John.
John Jr.
John John Jr. Just keep adding Johns to your name, mate.
With a screaming infant, 2 toddlers, and a teenage daughter that was threatening to constantly run away from home, Helen began to drink regularly. Drinking mixed with her prescribed medications.
Oh,
Helen was...
She would have been happy as Larry.
Oh, she was usually found on the couch with a book and a glass of scotch when John arrived home from work. He would change the badly soiled toddlers, look after Paddy, confirm Brenda's whereabouts, and then make dinner. The family had a comfortable income, and Helen and John were the sort of people who bought on impulse. They had saved enough money for...
What do you look at them for? Because you do that. Were you waiting for me to go, oh, I know someone who does that?
They had saved enough for a down payment on a house, though. The house was a split-level 3-year-old home with 4 bedrooms and a fireplace on a street called Lovers Lane.
Oh,
Despite,
sounds like something out of a TV show.
It does, like a Hallmark movie.
Mm.
Despite this, shut the fuck up.
Don't knock the fucking Hallmark movies.
Despite the street name, it was not a happy home. Helen apparently spent money like it grew on the tree in the yard. The children always had the most expensive clothes in the neighbourhood. Brenda later said during this time, Mum was really boozing it up. She kept saying she couldn't forget Marvin and that John was nothing compared to him.
Oh,
She was on heavy doses of medication. Daddy couldn't control her.
Daddy couldn't control her.
The Reverend gathered the impression that Helen had decided that John would never measure up. Nope, skipped a whole paragraph.
Okay.
Reverend Lewis Grosser.
Grosser. You're grosser.
Had been counselling John, and that John, unable to win Helen's respect and affection with his own personality, would lavish her with gifts.
So right up to this point, he still doesn't sound like he's... Yeah. The story's about him, isn't it? I'm trying to... It's like, so far we've been going on for ages, and it's like, he's been in the war, he's whatever, he's married a woman, he's raised her kid and had kids of their own, and blah, blah. God.
The Reverend gathered the impression...
He cracks. Let me know when he cracks.
You'll find out.
Okay.
Helen had decided that John would never measure up to her late husband, the war hero. He was starting to get himself over his head in debt with trying to buy Helen's affection. Brenda decided that she wanted out of the house, and when she turned 18, she married her boyfriend on the same day that they got the license.
Wow.
John ended up changing jobs and working for Xerox.
Yeah.
Earning $12,000 a year, which is about $128,000 a year now.
Oh, it's not bad.
Not bad. The job change again forced the family to move, this time from Michigan to Rochester. The family bought a ranch house, and this seemed to give the family a fresh start that they needed. Some weekends, they would even hire a babysitter and go out to parties, dinner, or the movies.
Ooh, fancy.
Of course, John enrolled the family into a Lutheran church.
Oh, of course he fucking did.
But Helen resumed attending Sunday service again.
Oh.
But this started to fade.
Okay.
The condition of their marriage became quite clear. Helen was an active participant in the marriage as long as John gave her material comforts and John's strong desire to honour the List family name. During his limited leisure time, John liked to play military strategy games, a lot themed around World War II, and he usually took the side of the Germans.
Oh.
By 1965, Helen's health had deteriorated, though it would be years before her illness was diagnosed.
Liver?
What?
Fucked liver?
No. Oh, wow. Helen was suffering from the early stages of cerebral atrophy, a degenerative...
That's hard to say.
Degenerative shrinkage of the brain tissue.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
John moved on to another job as vice president and comptroller of the First National Bank of Jersey City, New Jersey.
Wow.
Which came with the salary of $25,000 a year, which is about $250,000 a year now.
So it was no deal.
No.
No. Fuck no.
John rented an apartment in Jersey City while looking for a house for the family, while Helen stayed in Rochester preparing for the move. Westfield, New Jersey is where John decided they should live and bought the estate known as Breeze Knoll. Breeze Knoll had been on the market for some time before the lists bought it. It had a sprawling white front with green shutters, 19 rooms
Wow.
with oak floorboards throughout,
Jesus Christ.
10 fireplaces, 5 baths, and a ballroom that was 30 feet long by 23 feet wide
Bloody hell.
and was lit by stained glass skylights.
Sounds like a nice house.
It was, yeah. Underneath the ballroom was a billiard room, 2 living rooms.
What room?
Billiard. That's how it's fucking spelt. Billiard.
Billiard is how you pronounce it. A pool table.
Yeah, pool room. 2 living rooms, a dining room, a big kitchen with a butler's
I
pantry.
think the most fun I have on this is you pronouncing.
Bogart.
I don't care who killed who. It's the way you say some words. It's great.
They had a big kitchen with a butler's pantry and a laundry room.
Oh, yeah. Just what you need.
I think that was all on the first floor. A long hallway on the second floor had 5 bedrooms off it, and the third floor was the servants' quarters with 2 bedrooms, a living room, and a kitchen.
Oh, fuck that. You're going to go 3 stories just to get to your room.
No, so the first floor was like the main floor.
No, the servants I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. Well,
You can run around after us all day, and then you've got to lug up the stairs to... Hope they had an internal... Do they have an internal elevator?
no.
Okay.
This was the 60s.
Okay. You'd be
Also,
surprised.
although grand, it was a bit of a fixer-upper and was in bad need of repairs, but they loved it, made an offer on the house of $50,000, which is $500,000 today for a fucking 19-bedroom, 19-room. The only problem was that they didn't have the $10,000 down payment, and the only person he knew with that kind of money and was willing to help out was his mum.
Oh, and your mum.
Alma agreed.
I just assumed she'd been dead by this stage.
No, she's not dead. Alma agreed to give them the down payment on
What?
one condition.
She moved in.
She moved in.
Fuck off, Alma. God.
Helen given her previous relationship with Alma, didn't care if she moved in with them. She was that in love with the house. They agreed as they only figured that she had only had a few more years to live anyway. Alma had the 3rd floor servants' quarters to herself.
Oh, that's all right.
In letters to her friends, Alma would confide that these were the most unhappiest years of her life.
Oh.
As the children got older and were no longer toddlers who could be easily supervised and directed, he became stricter, with one parishioner saying he was like a pious grouch who treated those kids like they were in reform school. After 1 year at his vice president job, John was fired.
Uh-oh.
Unable to tell his wife and face the humiliation, he continued to leave the house every morning with his briefcase
Now you are getting a bit hallmarky.
and Wall Street Journal.
Oh, of course.
He would get into his car and drive downtown and would sit at the train station for 6 months.
Oh, fuck off. How do you pay bills and not acknowledge a pay?
I'll let you know.
Oh, God.
For
Mum
6
covered
months,
it, didn't she?
This is what he did every day.
Mm-hmm.
He would occasionally stop in at the bank where he and his mother kept their accounts. Alma had given him power of attorney when she moved in with them,
Okay.
and he began taking money out of her account with the belief that he would pay it back when he got back on his feet.
Mm-hmm.
Which he did, kinda.
Well, you'd think if you earn that sort of money, you should have money in the fucking bank yourself.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, that's ridiculous.
Every night he would sit in his mother. Oh.
That game the whole family plays. Blech.
That's disgusting.
You said it.
He would sit
in his mother.
He would sit with his mother
With his
in
mother.
her quarters,
Okay, that sounds better.
and they would read the Bible together.
Oh, that's beautiful.
In late 1967, he got another job at a firm which paid $12,000 a year. But after a year, the company decided to relocate.
Oh, That's what made her get rid of him.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're moving. Yeah.
Helen became ill again, and her sister and brother-in-law came to visit for a while. During their visit, Jean, brother-in-law, noticed the extensive collection of strategy games, stacks of books on murder mysteries and unsolved crimes, and weapons that John had in his billiard room.
Billiard room.
Billiard room. Never had a pool table in it, though. But they still called it the billiard room.
Okay, that's odd.
I think he turned it into like an office.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. John also took his brother-in-law into a damp cellar beneath the main part of the house, pointing out the dark nooks and blind passageways. Then John made an odd remark saying, "Jean, a man could hide for 6 months down here if he had food and water."
Oh, okay.
John got another job and money was tight, but he kept buying Helen and the kids anything they asked for.
Oh, that's just stupid.
Well, he had this like grandiose delusion that they were a prestigious religious family.
Yeah, but it's bullshit. No one knows what goes on behind your own closed doors.
No.
Like, fuck.
At home, he was apparently afraid of Helen, but the children he could control, approving of who they were friends with, their daily schedules, and they obeyed what he said.
Until they all fuck off at 18.
Until Patricia became a teenager. Patricia, who was called Patty by her family and Pat by her friends, was described as a pretty vivacious girl who ushered the whole raging copescent cycle of the early 1970s. So she was in like...
Flower power?
Yeah, pretty much. Against the Vietnam War and all that.
Mm-hmm.
One night, John had to collect her from the police station at 2:30 in the morning because she and a friend had been picked up for walking downtown after midnight. Literally allowed on their walk around the streets. Police found it very odd that then when they had called John, he answered the phone, obviously had been asleep.
Okay.
But when he arrived at the police station, he was wearing a suit and tie and smelling of aftershave.
Huh.
So he had such a, like...
Cared what people thought of him.
Yeah. Like had to keep up appearances. Even at 2:30 in the morning, going to the cop shop to pick up your daughter. He's like...
all dressed up.
Yeah. The officers found this strange, and another cop said, "Oh, I know that guy. The guy lives in a big house up on Hillside Avenue. I've seen him out mowing his lawn in his suit and tie."
As you do.
As you do. After the incident at the police station, Patty's very new boyfriend had mentioned that Patty was frightened after that night, not of the cops, but of her father. She believed that her father hated her. John and Patty didn't share a word on the car ride home, but this wasn't unusual as they had stopped speaking altogether several months earlier.
Wow.
John had last told her that he strongly disapproved of her friends, which he called hippies. He disapproved of her rebellious attitude, her tight jeans, which he said made her look like a cheap slut, and her aspirations to have a career in the theatre.
Yeah, in the theatre?
In the theatre. When they arrived home, he began to shout at her in the large centre hall of their 19-room house. He shouted at her that she was out of control and that she was going straight to hell. As they grew in their teenage years, Patty and her brother realised what the situation was at home. Her mother was always in bed sick and her father was always in his office. So by this time he got fired again and he was working from home selling insurance or something.
Okay.
They started to realise that they were actually poor. Patty got a part-time job working in an office in the afternoons, and soon her brother Frederick got a job essentially being a janitor for the office. John was not doing well with his new job selling insurance and only brought in $5,000 for the year.
For the year?
For the year.
Wow.
Patty and Frederick's small pay were the only income for the family. In early October, Patty asked her father if she could host a Halloween party in the ballroom. Surprisingly, he agreed. About 30 teenagers arrived for the party. During what it was remembered as a good party with music thumping from a record player and lots of dancing, partygoers remember seeing John List glaring at them down from the upstairs landing. One of the attendees remembered thinking that there didn't seem to be much furniture in the house, but chalked it up to the parents not wanting to get their stuff damaged by teenagers.
Yeah, would make sense.
But what they didn't know...
would be a logical assumption, not...
was that John had started selling the family's furniture to try and regain control of their financial debts.
Oh, God.
Due to Helen being unwell, they also sold the family's second car. She wasn't using it, she was in bed all the time.
Exactly.
Helen was unwell physically and mentally. During one visit, her sister Jean suggested that she needed to be institutionalized. He began to have sleepless nights over the burdens in his life. But he wasn't to blame. Helen was to blame.
Oh.
And Patty was growing up to be just like her. He needed to do something to save his family.
Oh, God.
In his billiard room, which didn't have a pool table in it, he had a calendar that had a thick red circle around a date in November. After dinner on the 5th of November, John called for his children to sit down at the dining table. He told them directly that they needed to be prepared to die because they would do soon.
Oh.
And then he asked them if they preferred to be buried or cremated. They all answered that they would like to be buried.
Are you fucking kidding?
No.
He sat him at the table and went, "You're all going to die soon. What do you want?"
Burial cremation.
And they just went, "Okay, Dad.
Okay, we'll get buried."
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Dad. See ya.
The same night,
What's for dessert?
What's for dessert? The same night, Patty attended a drama group rehearsal. Her eyes had been red from crying. Worried, her teacher Ed drove her home. While in the car, Ed asked her what was the matter and had something happened at rehearsal. She shook her head and told him, "It's my father. My father is going to kill me. He's going to kill me." Ed, having a teenage daughter himself, assured her that nobody
calm the fuck down, you dramatic bitch.
Yeah, he was probably like, drama school teenager.
Yeah.
She replied, "He said he was going to kill me. My brothers too. He said that. He took us into the kitchen. He sat us down and said he flat out told us that we should be prepared to die." Patty told him, "If he tells you he's going to take the family on a trip in a couple of weeks, that's it. That's how he's going to do it."
Sorry, no, that's not funny, but how fucking stupid.
Ed promised to check in on her and drove her home. 2 days later, Ed came by the house unannounced under the story of returning a book that he had borrowed. He went into the house and spoke with Helen, who was sitting at the table looking at black and white photos. Patty was nowhere to be seen. After a while, he put his coat on and headed towards the front door. At the door, he found John Jr. standing in the way. The boy grabbed Ed's arm in a tight grip and looked him directly in the eyes and said, "Mr. Alano, whenever you are in this neighborhood, please come by. Please understand you are welcome here any time."
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
That was a signal.
As Ed reversed out of the driveway, he saw the sheer curtains in the room, which would have been John's office, parting. He said, "It was John List looking daggers at me."
Oh.
By the end of 1971, Alma's money was almost gone. Before sunrise, about 5:45 a.m. on the 9th of November 1971, John List was at his desk going through his monthly budget book. The situation was hopeless. Irretrievably, irrevocably hopeless.
Hopeless, okay.
He shut his budget book and placed it next to his Bible. He heard a car drive up the driveway and heard the thud of the newspaper being delivered. He had phoned days ago to have the newspaper delivery stopped, so he decided he would phone again later that day. At around 8 a.m, he heard Patty get up and leave the house. He watched her walk down the long driveway and then slightly parted the curtain. Through the slightly parted curtain.
Jeez, do you want to start that again?
No.
Patty there, okay. Yeah, slightly parted curtain.
At around 8:20, the boys were leaving the house for school as well. John then went into the filing cabinet where the drawer was labelled. I'll just wait for you to take a drink.
Why, are you waiting for me to comment or to spit me drink?
John then went to the filing cabinet where the drawer, to a drawer that was labelled guns and ammo. Just real obvious.
Gee, wonder what was in there.
What's in there? He pulled out a little 22 caliber automatic, which had been his father's, and the Austrian Dyra, the one he brought back from war.
Yeah.
Just after 8:30, Herbert Arbast, the milkman, drove up the driveway and entered the house through the back door and into the butler's pantry where Helen had usually left a note of what they wanted. This time there was a note written by John to stop all deliveries until further notice because the family was
going on a holiday.
We're going on a vacation.
She called it.
He headed back to his truck and made the note on his clipboard to pause all deliveries to 431 Hillside Avenue until John called them. Helen then came downstairs to make her usual morning coffee and sat at the table on the far side of the kitchen beside a window where the morning sun streamed in. John slowly walked up behind her with his gun and at 18 inches away from her head, pulled the trigger.
Jesus.
The bullet hit her in the jaw and knocked her onto the floor, and John fired several more quick shots. He then went upstairs to the third floor.
Just left her there?
Yeah.
Okay.
for the first time ever entering his mother's room without knocking.
Yeah, well, I'm tipping what was following wasn't something you were going to knock and
No.
go, can I come in? I'm locked and loaded.
He found her in the kitchen waiting for her toast, and she asked what was the noise downstairs. In reply, he raised the gun and shot her once above the left eye at point-blank range.
Jesus.
He got the plastic carpet runner and pushed his mother onto it and then dragged her into the narrow hallway just off the kitchen. He then cleaned the floor with some newspaper and towel.
Why?
He said that he wasn't trying to hide anything. It was more a gesture towards propriety, a respectful nod at the neatness his mother insisted on.
Oh, my God.
He then went back downstairs.
Had that much concern about his mum wanting the house tidy, but just put a bullet in her head.
In her eye.
Okay. Well, your eyes in your head, dickhead.
I know, but the eye.
It was above her eye, you said.
Yeah. He then went back downstairs. Stop, people are dying. People dying.
Anyway.
He then went back downstairs and dragged Helen by her feet into the ballroom, leaving a 40-foot-long trail of blood.
Ugh.
John then rolled Helen's body onto a Boy Scout of America sleeping bag, rearranged her bathrobe to cover her legs, and placed a kitchen towel over her face.
Mm-hmm.
He then went back into the kitchen and used a roll of paper towel and newspaper to wipe up the blood. On his way to the bathroom to clean himself up, he went into Helen's bedroom and wiped his bloodied hands on her sheets again and again.
Oh.
He then went into the bathroom and threw up, leaving a bloody palm print where he had leaned on the porcelain lid. John then showered and scrubbed his hands and nails and put on clean clothes, combed his hair neatly and got dressed into a business suit and tie.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He then wrote notes to the children's schools. They read, Westfield High School. Our daughter Patricia is a student in the 11th grade at Westfield High. She'll be out a few days since we had to make an emergency trip to North Carolina. We left after the school was closed, so I'm sending this to you to explain her absence. And the one was to Roosevelt Junior High. Our sons John and Fred, 9th and 8th grades, attend Roosevelt. They will be out for several days as we have had to make an emergency trip to NC. This happened after the school was closed. He also wrote a similar notes to the office that Patty and Fred worked at after school. A neighbour recalled seeing John a little after 10 a.m. outside raking his leaves.
In his suit and tie.
In his suit and tie after he just murdered his wife and mother.
Yeah, well, you know.
She remembered this because the temperature had broken the record low for November 9th. Once he was done gardening, he came back inside and made himself a sandwich for lunch.
Well, he'd be hungry.
Yeah.
Is that a busy morning?
Wow, yeah. The first deviation in his plan is when Patty called home to say she wasn't feeling well and asked if he could pick her up. Annoyed, John got in the car and collected Patty from school. As they pulled up, John ran inside. It's not funny, but just picture him running in his suit and tie. John ran inside first as Patty came inside through the laundry door. He came out from behind the door and shot her once at close range in the back of the head. Like her mother, Patty was dragged by the feet through the kitchen into the ballroom and placed onto a sleeping bag. He then showered and changed his clothes again.
God, can go through a lot of clothes, this brick. Still got 2 sons to deal with.
He then went to the post office and posted himself a letter which contained a blank sheet of paper folded over a small key. He then... That comes back around. We'll find out what the key is. He then went back in and filled out a form so that the household mail would be held at the post office for at least 30 days. He then went to the bank and withdrew the remaining $200 from his mother's account, which had started with $50,000 in it.
Jesus, he pecked away at that, didn't he?
Well, he didn't work for 6 months.
Yeah.
Fred then arrived at the office after work as usual to find that Patty had called in sick. John then went to pick up Fred, and just like his sister, John hurried to the door first and shot Fred in the head as he walked inside. Like the others, Fred's body was dragged into the ballroom and placed onto a sleeping bag.
He had a lot of sleeping bags, didn't he?
Well, I think they went camping and shit.
Oh, must have. The amount of sleeping bags he's got.
I don't own one sleeping bag.
No.
Another hitch to his plan that due to the cold weather, John Jr.'s after-school soccer practice had been cancelled.
So he had all these things that were thrown out of what he wanted to do, but he still managed to do it. Time management.
Flexibility
John.
was probably what was on his resume.
John. Yeah.
Not expecting this, John scrambled for his gun and got into position behind the laundry door. But because of the scrambling, John Jr. heard this and was able to dodge his father's first bullet. to the head. Instead, it got him in the neck.
Ugh.
And then he shot one in his back.
Jesus Christ almighty.
John then began firing wildly. John Jr. tried to crawl across the floor to safety, but this was hopeless. John had emptied the chamber of his .22 and finally John Jr. stopped moving.
God.
John then dragged his last son into the ballroom
On a sleeping bag?
onto the sleeping bag,
Yeah.
yes.
We've got the plan.
He then knelt beside them and started to pray.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
Yeah.
Did he start with that one?
Then the doorbell rang.
Who could it be?
Panic.
Not the fucking teacher.
No. Well,
Okay.
panic set in and John quietly made his way over to the window to see it was the postman.
Oh.
Who was posting the key that he just took to the post office. He thought, great, the post office is being efficient on the day that they don't need it.
Yeah.
He then slipped a special delivery notice under the front door. He then rang the pastor to let him know that his family was on a plane to North Carolina and he would be joining them soon, but he wanted to let him know that he wouldn't be able to teach his Sunday school class for at least the next week.
Oh, my God.
He then rang Paddy's drama group and told the assistant that they would be heading to North Carolina due to his mother-in-law being very sick, so she wouldn't be attending class. He then sat down at his desk and wrote a few more letters.
Oh, my God.
The first one was to Helen's mother.
Do we know what started this? Like, what triggered him other than just having no money? Is this what... Okay, please hold.
The first was to Helen's mother.
I really feel we should... Can we just do a podcast where we find out why at the start and then...
No, that's not the fun of it, though.
Fucking, it kills me. Oh. It's just like, why? What happened? I've got so many unanswered questions that I can't wait for you to fucking answer.
That's the point. So the first one
And I'm
was
hungry.
to Helen's mother,
Getting hangry.
who was in fact quite ill due
she
to a
was.
kidney infection.
Oh, well, he didn't lie then. At least he's not a liar. He's just a fucking murderer.
Mrs. Morris, by now you no doubt know what has happened to Helen and the children. I'm very sorry that it had to happen, but because of a number of reasons, I couldn't see any other solution. I just couldn't support them anymore and I didn't want them to go into poverty. Also, at this time, I know that they were all Christians. I couldn't be sure of that in the future as the children grew up. Pastor Renwinkle may add a few more thoughts. He also wrote a similar letter to Helen's sister Jean and Alma's sister Lydia. John wrote a list of instructions and left it on his desk. To the finder, 1.
to the finder. Sorry for the mess.
1. Please contact the proper authorities. 2. The key to my desk is in an envelope addressed to myself. And 3.
Hang on. What? Why did he go to the post office to post the key that's in the note saying the key... What the fuck? There would have been a good ending to that part because that's stupid.
He pretty much posted, but he didn't think the key would come so fast. So he was going to kill him, ditch him, and then all these letters and
I'm
the
thinking, what
stuff.
the fuck? He's got the key. Why don't you just leave it there going, key's right here?
Because I think as well he really likes strategy games.
Okay.
And all the games that you have.
But
so he
yeah,
thought
right.
it was just a bit of a game.
Oh, God.
Then he made himself dinner, washed the dishes, and then went to bed.
Wash the dishes. Yep. Oh, fuck.
Before dawn, he was up. He had turned the thermostat down to 50 degrees to slow the decomposition of the bodies.
Yeah, that'll confuse the coroner.
Mm-hmm. He had turned every light in the house on except the one in the ballroom. He then went to the closet off the main hallway where a stereo was wired into the intercom speakers throughout the house and put on classical music. John then took off in his car and drove to Kennedy International Airport. He parked in the long-term parking lot and hid his keys under the front seat. Paddy's drama teacher, Ed, got the message from his assistant that Paddy's father had called to let them know that they were going on a trip.
Holidays, he'd been told.
Ed felt like he had just been punched in the stomach. That night on his way home, he drove past the list home. He slowed down as he passed and tried to inspect from his car. Ed couldn't see anything amiss. Everything looked normal and the lights were on throughout the house.
Mm-hmm.
By November 20th...
Oh, shit. This all happened on the 9th.
The performance of Paddy's drama group was presented and no one had heard from her since John called them. Ed and others became worried and did drive-bys past the list house.
And noticed that the lights were on all the time.
Wow. One night, Ed went up and knocked on the front door. When no one answered, he tried the knob and found it locked. As he turned to leave, he could hear music playing from inside. School attendance officers also made inquiries when it had been longer than John explained in his first letters. Westfield School District Attendance Officer Mildred Krager attended the house and knocked on the door with no answer. She walked around the house and found that every curtain had been tightly drawn. Ed had contacted the police a couple of times about the List family, but with no evidence, they couldn't really do anything. On the 5th,
They could have done a fucking welfare check.
I think they did, but they couldn't just break into the house.
Every
In
cop
the
show
60s,
goes, do you smell gas? Yeah, we've got reasonable cause to get in the house.
Yeah.
Please. What sort of police are they? I
probably,
said that to Andrew last night watching something, and I saw it and I went, I should have been a fucking cop. Anyway, please continue.
on the 5th of December,
Okay.
Ed decided that he had to enter the List house. Neighbours had started noticing that the lights in the house were still on, but slowly going off one by one as the bulbs burned out.
Oh.
That's a good fucking light bulb to
That's-
last a month.
Well, I would expect your light bulbs to last longer than a month.
Constantly on.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, fair. Ed went into the
Good
house.
fucking light bulbs.
Ed went to the house in the 60s.
He did his hip and shoulder and got the door open.
No, he went to the house and to a window at the back where he knew that the wood frame had started to rot. He pushed himself through the window, feet first, and landed in the basement.
Oh.
He stood there for a moment thinking about what he was doing, and then he heard the music playing upstairs. He then headed cautiously upstairs, where the classical music seemed to fill the whole ground floor of the house, where he smelt an odd, dank odour like a mist off a swamp.
Oh.
He pointed his flashlight into the dark ballroom, where the light hit upon a child's face and the body of Helen lying beside her
imagine
children.
doing that, being that person.
Oh, I couldn't.
I would have chucked up right there and then, for starters.
Sorry, this isn't evidence. That's
It's
my
like,
vomit
yeah,
from where I found
It's like,
them.
okay, you found 5 dead bodies, but we do need to charge you for breaking entry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Ed rushed out of the house, not even remembering the drive home, and sat on this information for 2 more days.
Why?
On the 7th
Fuck Ed.
Fucking Ed. On the 7th of December, Ed decided to go back to the house. So he was real sneaky the first time. The second time, he made noise.
He didn't want to get nabbed for...
He had his lights on.
Yeah, he didn't want to get nabbed for breaking entry.
Yeah. He loudly knocked on the door. He was doing everything. The next door neighbours did see him.
Okay.
The husband went over to see what was going on, and the wife phoned the police. Police arrived, and Ed explained that he had been concerned about the lists, and the neighbours also said that they had been concerned too. The police did a search around the house, and they did notice the basement window slightly opened and decided to enter the house.
Oh, Ed.
The officers went into the house and discovered the gruesome scene. The officers phoned headquarters and told the chief.
The chief. Fucking the chief.
The chief, that he has to get over to 431 Hillside Avenue. There has been a mass murder. Ed then remembered that John's mother, Alma, lived upstairs. The officers found her lying in the hallway where her son had left her.
Huh.
Police had seen the note that John had left and decided they weren't playing his game and weren't waiting for the post to deliver their key, and forced open the cabinet drawer and found 2 guns and a letter addressed to Reverend Ren Winkle. The letter read, "Dear Pastor Ren Winkle, I'm very sorry to add to the additional burden of your work. I know that what I have done is wrong from all that I have been taught, and that any reasons that I might give will not make it right. But you are the only person that I know that, while not condoning this, will at least partially understand why I felt I had to do this." 1.
Oh, back to his numbers. 1.
What? Well, he was an accountant. I wasn't earning anywhere near enough to support us. Everything I tried seemed to fall to pieces. True, we could have gone bankrupt or maybe gone on welfare. 2.
Would have been easier than killing fucking 5 people.
Wow. But that brings me to my next point. Knowing the type of location that one would have to live in, plus the environment for the children, plus the effect on them knowing that they were on welfare, was just more than I thought they could or should endure. I know that they were willing to cut back, but this involved a lot more than that. 3. With Pat being so determined to get into acting, I was so fearful as to what this might do to her continuing to be a Christian. I'm sure it wouldn't have helped. 4. Also, with Helen not going to church, I knew that this would harm the children eventually in their attendance. I'd continued to hope that she would begin to come to church soon, but when I mentioned to her that Mr. Jutsy wanted to pay her an elder's call, she just blew up and stated that she wanted her name taken off the church rolls. Again, this could only have given an adverse result to the children's continued attendance. So, that is the sum of it. If any one of these had been the condition, we might have pulled through, but this was just too much. At least I'm certain that all had gone to heaven now. If things had gone on, who knows if that would have been the case.
So the only one not going to heaven is him.
Well, of course, my mother got involved because doing what I did to my family would have been a tremendous shock to her at this age.
Coming down the stairs.
Everyone's dead.
Turn the fucking music off. Oh, they're all dead.
Therefore, knowing that she is also a Christian, I felt it best that she be relieved from the troubles of this world, and that would have hit her. The letter then went on to organise the final arrangements for each body. Helen and the children have all agreed that they would prefer to be cremated.
That's not what they said.
That's not what they said.
Lie, pants on fire.
Please see to it that the costs are kept low. For Mother...
And what? Send me the bill. Here's my address.
Yeah. For Mother, she has a plot at the Frankenmuth Church Cemetery. He also stated that the pastor can distribute the family's personal belongings as he saw fit, like the books could go to the school or the church library. The letter continued. As for me, please let me be dropped from the congressional roll.
You think?
I leave myself in the hands of God's justice and mercy. He went on to say more about how it was the only way out and stuff about God, and then he put at the bottom of the letter, P.S.
Oh, fuck.
Mother is in the hallway in the attic. 3rd floor. She was too heavy to move.
P.S. We already found Mum.
When they discovered Alma's body, her toast had been sitting in the toaster next to the shattered plate that she'd been waiting for it.
Yeah, that would have been cold as the toast. Nothing worse than cold toast.
The police made it very clear in the media that John List was their only suspect. During the planning, John had also destroyed every photograph of himself in the house, and being the 1960s, no one just had selfie of him.
Yeah.
So no one really know what he looked like. The police definitely didn't know what he looked like.
Okay. That was quite clever of him.
Breeze Knoll remained empty until it was destroyed by a fire in August 1972, 9 months after the murders.
Yeah, no one would have been buying that house.
Yeah.
Was there any? Oh, there was one in the 3rd floor and 4 downstairs. Yeah. But other than that, it's a good house.
Although the destruction was officially ruled arson, it remains unsolved with no suspects. A new house was built on the site in 1974. With the police still not knowing where John List had gone or if he was even still in the country, as they had found everyone's passports except his, the case started to get cold.
Well, wouldn't they have a photo of him in the passport and driver's license?
He took them with him.
Yeah, but the records.
Oh, possibly.
It'd be like going to Vic Roads and going, can I have a copy of so-and-so's license? Please, see? Should have been a cop.
By early the next year, John had settled in Denver and had taken an accounting job under the name Robert Bob Clark.
Bobby.
By 1974, he had joined a Lutheran church, and by 1976, his name was now in the phone book.
Oh.
And he was able to obtain a new driver's license as the motor vehicle's officers just needed to know that the phone book company had his data.
Okay.
Now with his new license and a car, he began to volunteer more at church. He ended up driving the old people to and from services each week. Good guy.
Oh, see, back to being a good guy.
In the spring of 1977, John attended a singles social event hosted by the Lutheran Church. This is where he met Dolores Miller. Dolores had recently divorced from a military man, and she was described as a tall, pleasant-looking woman, shy and religious. During their dating, John and Dolores went square dancing. The informal environment made John stand out with his suit and tie, so he started to wear shirts and even brought himself a pair of jeans.
Trend eye.
On St. Patrick's Day in 1981, John and Dolores purchased a 2-bedroom condominium in Perea Street in Montebello, a part of Denver.
How's it go? Montebello.
Oh no, it's Montebello. On the 23rd of November 1985, Dolores and Bob got married in a Lutheran church.
Of course they did.
In April 1986, John was fired from his job.
What does he do to keep getting fired?
I don't know. He would still get up at the same time as Dolores, put on his suit and tie, shined his shoes, and then would sit at the kitchen table looking through the want ads. John would still be spending money like he had a job, and soon Dolores grew sick of it.
Sick of it.
While talking to the neighbour over the fence, one day she said very loudly, "If he doesn't find a job pretty soon, I'm leaving him."
Whoa, go Dolores.
Her neighbour and friend, Wanda, each week loved buying the weekly tabloid newspapers with headlines like, "Elvis seen working at a 7-Eleven."
What year was this?
80 fuck.
80 fuck.
86.
Okay.
Late 80s. While flipping through one, she came upon an article about a mass murder, and the killer had been on the loose since killing his wife, children, and mother. She was stunned when the articles described a man's physical appearance, demeanour, and habits which strongly resembled her neighbour, Bob Clark.
Oh, Bob.
Wanda headed over to the neighbour's house and knocked on the door. When Dolores confirmed that Bob wasn't home, Wanda came in and told her to read the article. Wanda expressed her concern that she thought Bob Clark was John List. Dolores told her, "Oh no, Wanda, this isn't Bob. You know my Bob. He's a wonderful man. My Bob wouldn't even hurt a flea. How could you think that awful man is my Bob?"
Please.
By 1988, the FBI had consulted with photographer and sculptor Frank Bender. He'd been developing a reputation with law enforcement due to his ability to reconstruct in clay the faces of decomposed bodies that couldn't be identified.
Oh.
Frank was commissioned for $1,500 to do a clay bust of John List for the show America's Most Wanted. Frank delivered the 10-pound clay bust to Washington of an age-progressed John List. The segment was to air on Sunday night, May 21st, 1989.
How old's John at this point?
60?
Okay.
John had been watching the segment alone at home while Dolores was at Bible class. Wanda had also been watching and wrote down the number of the tip line. By this time, John and Dolores had moved to Virginia while Wanda still lived in Denver.
Oh, okay. Thank God she's still not living next door to him.
Living next door to a murderer. Murder. Who the fuck is a murderer? Wanda and Dolores had been keeping in contact via letters, and she called the tip line and gave them Bob Clark's new address.
Ooh.
The tip was passed through to the FBI agents who handled the tips from the show. Agents headed out to the address and knocked on the door. Dolores was shocked when she opened the door and were invited in to ask her some questions about her husband. The police asked if she had seen the program on Sunday night, which she had not, because she was a Bible class.
Mm-hmm.
They then showed her the photo of the clay bust. Dolores looked terrified, like all the colour had drained from her face.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, what was the last bit?
That was a hiccup, thank you. She said, "That looks like it could be my husband, but that can't be my husband. He's the nicest man in the world."
Mm-hmm. Even though you were divorcing him 5 minutes ago, yelling at the fence.
The officers asked if she had any recent photographs of her husband, and she went and got their photo album, and there seemed to be an uncanny resemblance. The officers asked her some questions. "Does your husband have a scar behind his right eye?" "Yes."
Uh-oh.
"Is he from Michigan?" "Yes." "Is he an accountant?" "Yes."
Oh, shit.
The
Does he tick every box for a murderer? Yes.
The detectives headed to John's workplace and spoke with the receptionist. They asked if they could see Robert Clark. When she saw that he wasn't at his desk, she told the detectives that he must have stepped out. She asked them what they wanted Bob for, and they told her that they were going to arrest him.
Oh.
Thoughts of embezzlement first rushed to the receptionist's mind, and she found herself asking what he was being arrested for. The detectives replied, "Homicide."
As if they're going to fucking answer her.
In the 60s.
No, you're in the fucking 80s now.
We're in the 80s now.
You
Jesus.
idiots. You just went on about Elvis performing at
Yes.
fucking Subway or wherever he was going. I don't know.
Elvis might have been working at 7-Eleven.
Could have been at 7-Eleven, yeah.
As the detectives went looking for John, as the detectives went looking for John, they bumped into him on his way back up the hall from using the company's Xerox photocopier.
Ah.
The detectives
He
flashed
stayed loyal.
Yeah. The detectives flashed his badge and said he was from the FBI and they just needed to confirm his identity. "Could you please tell us your name?" "Robert Clark." "Do you have a scar behind your right ear?" Bob turned his head to show them. "Have you ever had an operation for a hernia?" "Yes." "Were you born in Michigan?" "Yes." "Are you an accountant?" "Yes." "Are you John Emil List?" "No." "Who in hell is John List?"
Oh, bullshit.
They put handcuffs on him and took him down to Richmond Police Station for fingerprinting. Wouldn't you know?
It was a match?
It was an exact match. Robert Clark's fingerprints match John List.
How did they have John List's fingerprints, but they didn't have a photo of him?
Military.
Ah.
They took his fingerprints.
And they didn't have a photo of him?
Apparently not. Court-appointed psychiatrist testified that John suffered from obsessive compulsive personality disorder and that he only saw 2 solutions to his situation: accept welfare or
Kill everyone.
kill his family and send their souls to heaven. On the 12th of April 1990, John List was convicted of 5 counts of first-degree murder. At his sentencing hearing, he denied direct responsibility for his actions, saying, "I feel that because of my mental state at the time, I was unaccountable for what happened.
Oh, fuck off.
I ask for all affected by this for their forgiveness, understanding, and prayers." The judge was unpersuaded and said, "John Emil List is without remorse and without honour. After 18 years, 5 months, and 22 days, it is now time for the voices of Helen, Elmer, Patricia, Frederick, and John Jr. List to rise from the grave."
So he was on the run for 18 years, or he was different person for 18 years.
He was on the run. He took that Robert Clark name as soon as he left.
So he killed him 18 years ago and it's taken that long to
Yeah.
Wow.
He imposed a sentence of 5 terms of life imprisonment to be served consecutively, the maximum permissible penalty at the time. On the 21st of March 2008, John List died of
that's a
complications from
shame.
pneumonia at age 82 while imprisoned at St. Francis Medical Center in Trenton, New Jersey. In 2008, John Walsh, the host of America's Most Wanted, donated the age-progressed bust by Frank Bender that played a pivotal role in John List's apprehension to a forensic science exhibition at the National Museum of Crime and Punishment in Washington, D.C. That'd be fucking cool to go to. Whose collection
It was a mouthful.
was later moved to the Alcatraz East Crime Museum in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
Oh.
That's the one I want to go
I
to.
was waiting for you to say San Francisco when you said Alcatraz.
It's called the Alcatraz Crime Museum.
Which
That's
is
the one that
weird.
has I'm pretty sure they have John Wayne Gacy's clown suit and Jeffrey Dahmer's glasses and Ted Bundy's typewriter.
Listen to how excited you get,
Aye.
you fucking weirdo.
And yeah, that was the case of...
And what did you think how it ended? You
I
said at the
thought
start that
that,
you said a different story.
I thought him and the wife were watching America's Most Wanted and she recognised him and dobbed him in, but
wasn't
it was
her.
a combination
It was
of...
the
or maybe
neighbour.
the name, yeah.
So you can thank the neighbour for that.
The neighbour, yes. So yeah,
I wonder if she got a reward.
maybe a bronze star. Possibly. I think there was a reward.
There normally, isn't there?
Well, yeah, usually fucking 18 years later, you'd think there'd be a...
Reward for the turd?
That's crazy how he fucking the suit and tie, murders his mum and his wife, rakes the leaves and makes himself a sandwich,
Yep.
then murders his kids, makes himself dinner,
Cleans up.
cleans
Don't
up.
forget he cleaned up.
Well, he cleaned up where he shot them, but then I think I read that he'd left the drag marks, the pools of blood where he shot them.
Well, I
They
suppose
were
he didn't
cleaned
care
up.
of that. He only
Well,
needed
yeah.
to clean up where if someone else walked in, the next person that walked in wasn't going to go, what the fuck's that?
Oh, yeah, true.
So that's all that was, that
Yeah.
he was cleaning up so it was a clear path.
So,
that-
the daughter didn't walk in and go,
yeah,
what
and
the
go,
fuck?
why is there a trail of blood leading to the left?
Yeah, I'm like, oh. Yeah, that's quite
Makes
sad
sense.
that it was just I do like how the judge said that he's without honour when that
Yeah.
was drill. You got to bring honour to the family, and yeah, I can't believe someone was like, well, instead of going on welfare, I'm just going to kill my
everybody.
family.
Yeah, well,
Very weird mindset.
very, very strange.
So yeah, we'll catch you next week when we have
What do we have?
we're in Australia.
We're always been in Australia.
We're always in Australia. I know.
We haven't left Australia.
You know what? Live,
Well,
laugh,
you
lobotomy
haven't.
is what I say.
What?
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 I've been out of Australia. We've
I
been to
know.
Hawaii twice.
Yeah, I know. I realised that after I said it.
You dickhead.
You are.
Went with you.
I know.
That was fun.
Idiot. All right, sign off. Say goodbye.
Well, yes, we will catch you next week on Mainly Murder with Mum and Meg and Mum. Something of that. Rearrange
Mainly
the
Murder
words.
with Meg and Mum.
You can follow us on Instagram.
At www.
That's a website. You boomer.
Cut that out.
Mainly_murder. Or you can email us at mainlymurderpodcast@gmail.com.
Peace out.
Peace out, bitches. Oh, is that all we have? Instagram murder?
What?
Email?
I don't know what you did. I don't listen to you. I just fucked up my microphone.
Oh, see, that's karma.
God damn it.
All right.
Now it's...
What?
What?
Now it's droopy.
Now I've got a droopy dupe.
All right, our menu log driver is around the corner, so we will see you later. Goodbye.
Bye.